Hello everyone, it's the Historical Gamer once again, and today I'm going to be taking a first look at a new trailer that just came out for a game that was just announced by a new game studio which was just created. So a lot of firsts here. The game, as you can see on the screen here, is called Burden of Command, and it is made by a new game studio called Green Tree Games. Let's go ahead and take a look at the trailer, and then we'll go ahead and jump back in with my reactions. All right, now let's go ahead and watch the trailer one more time, and I'll just kind of provide my commentary and my thoughts while we take a look at this. Burden of Command looks pretty unique in my view. This appears to be the kind of game that's trying to immerse you in a story almost in the way that an RPG does, but at the same time trying to make you make choices that impacts your unit. So the game appears to put you in control of a small force as an officer of some sort, where you're leading these men through. It starts off in North Africa. You can see in one of the next screens here, it references Sicily. It does appear that it probably takes you across the course of the war in Europe in World War II. You're fighting with the 7th Infantry Regiment. You can see there it says Sicily. You're fighting with the 7th Infantry Regiment, and you're going to fight through North Africa, through Sicily, I assume probably into the Italian peninsula, and maybe Normandy, although I'm not sure, everywhere the 7th Infantry served. What it does appear to do is try to immerse you in that role of a leader in World War II, of a small force, trying to create your own little Band of Brothers type story. Are you going to be the Frank Winters type character who earns the respect of his men, or are you going to be, someone who's more maybe less personable, less caring about his troops, but cares more about the mission? It's going to try and make you make a choice of if the mission is more important or if the men are more important. And undoubtedly, if the game does it right, it's going to have to strike a balance where to be a good leader, you have to care about your men, but you also have to be willing, to put that one component that you care most about at risk for destruction. I think I can't remember where I've read it or seen it. I think it was a movie. I want to say it might have been the movie Gettysburg, actually, where it says, to be a good general, you have to care about your men, but to be a good leader, you have to care about your men, or something to that effect. To be a good general, you have to be willing to order the destruction of the thing you care about the most. But it appears to be trying to put you in that shoes of a leader of a small group of forces in World War II, as you deal with the sort of moral and dilemmas that would come up, I assume, as you face the challenges that existed in that time. Now, I find this particularly interesting, and this is definitely going to be on one of my top, one on my radar for one of the games I'm looking forward to the most in 2018, if only because I haven't seen this done in this way before. And again, the game isn't out. All we have is a 2-minute snippet, so who knows how it'll really play. But I haven't seen this concept executed on in a while. The Scourge of War series tries to put you in the shoes of a general where you're really dealing with limited sets of information, and you have to make decisions based on limited information. The Command and Combat Mission series puts you in more of sort of a top-level command where you really don't get a sense of personality with your troops. Sometimes there's carryover battles, but usually there's no real long-arching campaign where you can build that connection. Close Combat might do this to a certain extent. You've got individual units, you gain experience through linked battles, those units take casualties, you can order replacement units. You could maybe in your head build this sort of fictional characterization of your troops. I want to say, I've never played the Jagged Alliance series, but I think the Jagged Alliance series does it to a certain extent based on all the reviews I've heard and all of the, the 3 Moves Ahead podcasts have touched on this a lot, where you kind of have a sense of, oh, that's this, elite soldier that I've carried through the entire war, and I want to be careful with how I use him. Other games do that to a sense, like Order of Battle or Panzer General, where you've got these core units that you build the story in your head about. But there's never really a face put to it. They're always units or abstract pixels. And I think this game is going to try, it appears from the trailer, try to have you build a connection with your soldiers so that when you are making these decisions, it is impactful to you. And I've never seen a game try and tackle leadership in that way. In fact, I've never really seen a war game try and tackle leadership. It's always strategic or tactical questions about limited information or about how best to maneuver tactically across a set piece or a piece of ground to inflict the most damage upon the enemy. Sometimes it's about managing the morale of your troops, but it's this abstract morale figure that kind of ebbs and flows. The only game I've ever really seen that's really, in my opinion, tried to build that immersion of putting you in with a small unit of men and building that connection is actually a first-person shooter. It's the Brothers in Arms series, where they tell a narrative of these soldiers going through Normandy. These, I believe, they're paratroopers, and then the Hell's Highway series game picks that up into Operation Market Garden, and that through a very much an RPG mixed with a first-person shooter does a good job of trying to immerse you in the story of your individual men, but there's really not much dynamism to it. It's kind of, it's more linear, and I'm wondering if this game may try and have multiple endpoints, and I hope it does. I hope it has a very dynamic and free-flowing campaign. What I worry is that it may end up being too scripted and that you'll see very, stark choices. One specific choice will alter the end path, but will that link through multiple battles, or is it going to be there's a one right choice, and if you don't do it, someone dies, but then you lose? I'm kind of curious to see how they'll handle that. Either way, I don't think, and again, you guys correct me if I'm wrong, if you see anything out there that you know of that does this, please let me know, because I'm interested in this kind of game. I want to see more games tackle what it's like to be a small unit commander, and that's more than just moving across a battleground and using tactics to, rain fire down upon the enemy. It's also about the men. Any good leader will tell you that the men matter, more probably than the mission, because if you don't have the faith of your men, you're not going to be able to execute your mission. And I hope that's what this game really taps into, because again, I've never seen a game that kind of tries to do this. I've seen games where people kind of project this kind of a mentality or project this kind of an experience into the game because they want to imagine something like that, but I've never seen a game that sets out to do this. And this team, I'm going to throw a link in the description, but this team of developers on this game is diverse, and they appear to be very well qualified. The looks of the game, it's not coming out till 2018, so the looks of the game could be an indie development, but Green Tree Games, they've got what they classify as senior advisors. So they've got Chris Avalo, who was a writer, an RPG writer on Torment, Knights of the Old Republic 2, Fallout 2 New Vegas, Divinity, and other games. You've got William Bernhardt, who's written over 40 different books that I believe are kind of more in the... I'm not sure if they're... in history or not. It doesn't really say. You've got several other developers from other games. Dr. John McManus is a military history professor with a PhD. You've got Ian Thomas, who's a game developer and writer. Heather Albano, another game designer. She also writes alternate history novels. And then I believe I left out, was it Alex Kennedy, who worked with Fail Better Games on Fallen London and Sunless Seas. So it's a very diverse and experienced group of what they call senior advisors. Additionally, they've got a whole bunch of other, it just says also thanks to Cameron Harris, who's the game designer of Decisive Campaigns Barbarossa. So I'm not sure if these are just kind of advisors, but they've got, 4 or 5 other game designers and artists who are advising the team. The actual Green Tree Games team, so everybody I've mentioned so far appear to be somehow affiliated with the project, but in more of an advisory role. There's 2 artists on the project. They've both seem to have a reasonable amount of experience. I mean, it's not my place to say who has experience or not. I don't know much about game development. 2 project leads who are kind of coders. And then they've got, a team of 3 historical content creators. So scenario designers and, there's a project historian. They've got 2 dedicated, right? I mean, this is a robust team. This is not a small, it doesn't appear to be a small time project. Now, maybe these people are all donating time part-time. I'm not sure, but this is a very well supported group. They also have 5 military consultants and playtesters, as well as an additional 8 or 9 playtesters who all appear to either have extensive wargaming experience. They're either writers, administrators at wargaming forums. Just there's a lot of experience behind all of this. So, not to drag the video out too much by reading a who's who of the team, but suffice to say that there is a lot of talent behind this project. And I'm curious what the final product will look like, because we've seen the trailer. I've shown you kind of some of the artist renderings. The game was just revealed a couple days ago. This trailer just came out a couple days ago, and but the game doesn't come out till 2018, so that's still quite a ways away. We're 6+ months away from that. So we'll see if there's more that we haven't seen. Maybe the game will look substantially different. I'm not sure, but I like the concept. I'm excited to see what happens, and I'd be interested to hear all of your thoughts. So that's enough of me rambling. I don't need to ramble too much. I'll throw the link to the site in the description if you guys want to check it out. Like I said, it's a very impressive team of folks behind the project. And I love the concept. I love the idea. I'll be interested to see, it claims that it brings you a World War II story that requires you to focus on tactics. So you've got to figure out, how best to engage a situation. It doesn't appear to just be a, choose your own adventure where you have, a tree of options. There appears to be some level of, hex-based combat that your troops move across the map, and you've got to, use tactics successfully to win the battle. But there's also that leadership RPG element to the game. So I don't think it's just going to be a choose 1, choose 2, and now you're on the next step. Choose 2, choose 1, that kind of a thing. I think it's going to be a mixture of hex-based, tactical, I assume this is turn-based combat based on the way it looks, and mix that in with a leadership RPG, which is refreshing to see. I've never seen something like that before, and it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. With that being said, I've already said this a few times, but that's enough of me rambling. I'm really interested in this this game. I'll keep you guys posted as I hear more. The developers reached out to me and kind of mentioned, hey, we're doing this. I saw Troy Goodfellow had a tweet out about it, so this is certainly something that's on my radar. But I also want to hear from you guys. What do you think of this? Again, the game's not coming out till 2018, so take what you see on the screen with a grain of salt. But what about the concept? What about the team behind it? What are you looking for out of this game? Is this something that you're interested in, or is this something that is just kind of out there? But with that being said, guys, I will take my leave, and until next time, it's the Historical Gamer saying thank you for watching, and I'm out.